you also can't solve a problem if you don't know its source. If you don't know why it's happening, how can you fix it?
Okay, so how you can fix it? So in the case of the climate, I think it's better to start from the facts. Normally, there are two types of the people. Two kinds of the people. People who like to learn and people who like to believe. So
yes.
I think in this type of the question, we need to concentrate more on learning, on understanding, rather than on beliefs. So coming back to the learning. So surface of our planet receive radiation from the sun approximately, 340 megawatts per square meter. So that is what happening. Watts, sorry, not megawatt, of course. After that is heating the source of our planet. But part of this heat, it's reflected. It's going back to the space. In case if we don't have atmosphere, what happens? So temperature of our planet will be perhaps 35 degrees lower than it is now. So why it's not lower? Because we have atmosphere. What is atmosphere? Inside of our atmosphere, there are certain gases which we call greenhouse gases.
Yes.
Major of them, it's water vapor. Second, it's CO2, then methane, then others. So what these gases do, they reflect heat back to the surface. About three quarter of the heat, it's reflected, it's going back to the surface. So we experience kind of infrared sauna effect when basically firstly direct sun exposure and after that reflected heat waves coming. So that's how it works. So why I'm explaining of this? Okay, so let's imagine we are not looking whom to blame for the problem, but in reality we are just trying to put temperature a little bit down. Let's say a degree or two down. We are trying to find these knobs, how you call it, on the thermostat. So to turn them down and make temperature a little bit lower. So what you normally would consider. So question number one, you want to increase reflection of the heat from the surface of the planet, wouldn't you? So that will be first question. That's what in science they call albedo. So it's an ability of the surface to reflect waves coming on the surface.
Yes.
Albedo. So white color, basically, if you have a mirror, your albedo is 1. If you have a completely dark something, your albedo is 0. Everything else goes in the middle. So if you want that surface heated less, what you do? You increase albedo. Step number 1. Step number 2, what you want to do? You want to decrease reflection in the atmosphere, which is going back to the surface. In other words, you want to decrease a concentration of the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. That's 2.
So the heat can escape.
Then heat will not go back, but will escape. So that's actually 2 actions which you wanted to take. Are there any difference? No, because it doesn't matter. Either you basically send more out of the surface, or you allow less to come back to the surface. It works in the same direction. You want to address this all. Now, one more fact to add here. So when we're talking about greenhouse gases, so another just numbers. So our planet emits about 820 gigatons of equivalent of CO2 per year. Humans emit about 54 gigatons out of this 820. So it's about 6%. So that is input of the human greenhouse gases emission.
Is 6% of the total.
6% of the total. Yeah, that's why if you look on all of it combined, it's really unexplainable. No, I mean, from the logical perspective, why all attention given not to the changing of the albedo of the world, of the surface of our planet, and or not to the addressing other 94% of the emission, which is coming from the nature, but why all attention concentrated on this 6% of total. That's very difficult to explain from the logical perspective. So that's what beginning. After that, naturally, question number 2 can be asked. Is it possible to address either remaining 94% of greenhouse gases, or what does it really mean to change albedo of the surface? Is it feasible? What does it mean? Of course, it's feasible. So what means to change natural emission, this 94%? Plant forest, that's about it. So meadows, it's about this. Deal with the permafrost, which is covering big storages of the carbon in the underneath. It's also to deal with the CO2, so which is trapped there. So there are different ways to affect natural caused emissions. That calls natural-based solutions. Exist estimations and numbers which show the potential of it. It's about 18 gigatons, 20 gigatons, so numbers like this. So it's more or less about half of the anthropogenic emissions can be much more cheaply mitigated by natural-based solution. So that's story number one. Story number two, about Albedo. I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit into the...
May I ask you to just pause on one
Please.
question? So planting forest is number one.
It's one of the options. In the natural-based solution, planting
Yes.
forest, it's one of the options.
That seems easy, cheap. It creates beauty. It helps everybody to plant forest. Why is that being done?
Yes, it's done, but not on the very big scale.
Where is it being done?
In many places in the world, planting of the forest happening now. China, by the way, the biggest place where about 250 million tons of the emissions now absorbed by the forest plant in China during last 20 years.
Why isn't it being done in more places?
We will come to this, I promise.
Okay,
We will come to this.
I like that
promise.
idea so much that I had to pause.
But forest, it's only one of the possible solutions. There are many others. Forest, it's one of them. But once again, so there are opportunities to react on the greenhouse emission from the natural sources. That's story number one. Second big story, which is unlike, let's say, natural-based solution, almost not used today at all. That's to affect albedo. It means to affect how much energy basically reflected out of the surface of the planet. What does it mean? For example, to paint roof white, that means change albedo. It was black, become white. So, or to change color of the roads. Or for example, to plant certain types of the grass, of meadows, or something like this. I give you numbers. So typical, let's say, gas power plant in Texas will produce maybe 2.5 million tons of CO2 per year. So in order to absorb it by albedo, it will need to be, I would say, 15,000 hectares. You need to change albedo for 0.04. I'm sorry for technical details. It's not very much. So, for example, when you plant in the black soil cotton, it increases albedo about 5 times bigger. So that's how you can compensate one by another.
Well, you can fight climate change by planting cotton?
It's very good. It's very good instrument to change albedo of the surface. It's one of many. You can paint surface of the buildings. You can, do certain techniques which allow ice to melt a little bit later, because when it's ice, it's kind of mirror. So albedo of the ice, it's very high, it's reflect a lot. And when ice, for example, melting during summer period of time, what's happening, it's basically what is underneath ice becoming exposed to the atmosphere.
Yes.
And that is usually black color. So albedo, it's increasing. So if you can find solution which allow ice to melt a little bit for the shorter period of time in Arctic, that's also very effective way.
And you
to
mentioned
affect
painting
albedo.
the roads white?
What's wrong about it?
Well, no, I've
Because
never thought of that.
Or painting the roofs. When it's very hot, what you do on the street? You're trying to wear white.
Of course.
When it's very cold, you're trying to wear black. Why? Because black make you warmer. White reflects sun. Same goes about any other things. But amazing thing is that it's very simple, very cheap, and basically numbers which can be achieved by this are comparable to what we are doing now with anthropogenic emission. Like I said, Texas, to offset emission dying by the typical power plant, gas power plant, you need 15,000 hectares. Maybe 10,000 of hectares will do. So one versus another. So what I'm trying to say, that there is a problem, change of the temperature. There is a desire to do it. So exists very strange way how we deal with this today. We found someone whom to blame, human in this case, and trying to reduce what humans do. But exist a number of other options. What is the good news? You can do something with albedo, and you can do something with a number of the natural-based solutions. And from my understanding, that we don't have other way forward.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.